Okay, I believe that we should be live right now. Let's have a look. It says going live now, and we are live 4 seconds in. Okay, so hey everybody, we are live, hopefully, and if we're not live, that's because this is finished, and you can obviously, well, you are listening to it, I hope. If not, I'm just speaking to nobody right now. Basically, we've got our guest now is, oh, someone's left their phone on in my room. 2 seconds. Hello. Okay, sorry about that. I'm actually staying in a room with a bunch of people right now, and so someone's gone out and they've left the they left their phone ringing. So our guest today, as you might have seen already, is a pretty well-known legend of UK hip hop, known for his witticisms and his self-depreciating humor, and obviously his great music. So our guest is Dr. Syntax. So hey there, can you hear us?
Hey, yes, I certainly can. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Thanks for having me. Pleased to be in.
Thank you for joining. It's a shame there's a whole lockdown situation that we can't actually, get you here, and well, not here right now, but get you in person and stuff. But Zoom will do. How have you been for the past few weeks and like 7 weeks, whatever?
Not too bad. Can't complain in the grand scheme of things. It's up and down, veering between despair and giddily getting on with it. You know how it goes. When lockdown started, I was on tour in the Alps, in the French Alps.
Oh, nice.
The ski resorts they have there and things. I was doing a couple of gigs out there. Did one in Marybelle, and then we were going on to what was it? To Chamonix and a couple of other places. But we got a couple done, and then obviously it all happened, and it happened a bit earlier in France as well. So it was like that's that shutdown. Flights were cancelled and things, and I got mumps, which was bizarre. So
really?
Yeah, a strange period. And of course, you start to get ill when all that was kicking off. I thought, oh shit, here we go.
Oh, no.
Bizarrely, I went for a retro illness and was sat with puffy cheeks for a bit. But as I say, can't complain in the grand scheme of things. And then we were stuck out in with some friends out there for a good few weeks, which was an amazing place to be, in crazy uncertainty. But eventually it became a bit of a case of how are we going to get back? How do we get out of here, me and my missus? But yeah, we got back and we've been locking down ever since.
Were you like on one of those repatriated flights? Or how did you end up?
It was it was just I think it was a Swiss Air one or something. It got down to the point where there was hardly any flights going. There's like maybe one a day or one every couple of days. And yeah, it was kind of like, it became like a bit of an issue in our minds, thinking, what's it going to be like getting home, going to Geneva airport? Well, then we got to get to London and get a lift and all this. And it actually turned out far more simple. I mean, I've never seen such a deserted place. Like going to Geneva airport, there was like a couple of members of staff knocking about. It was empty. It was very, very surreal. It's like if you went and got a flight, if you've ever got a flight right in the middle of the night, 4 in the morning or something, but even more, there was literally no one. I think there was like 5 people on the flight. Yeah, it was very, very surreal.
I had a bit of a similar thing. I was actually in Morocco whilst when everything went down, and they announced, they said Morocco is closing its airspace and closing all borders. Everyone's got I think it was like 24 or 48 hours to get out, but then the airlines cancelled all the flights. So we were like, oh, shit, what do we do? So at first we were planning to try and make a journey across the desert. We saw that some of the countries in south of Morocco, like Mauritania, were open. So we thought we're going to try and get across the desert.
It sounds like a Disney film from 1992, but it's probably not that exciting.
Well, we realized like what happens if we start going across the desert and everywhere starts shutting down their borders, which is what happens. So we had our flights cancelled, and then there was these like repatriation flights, which they had one a day, and they only were limiting them for, there was like three days of flights, and then after that you were just stuck. So we managed to get on one of these flights, and it was crazy because there were so many people stuck there who just couldn't get on flights, and all the hotels shut down and stuff. So yeah, I imagine I've read online quite a few people are still stuck in various places.
Wow. I know there was a festival out somewhere like Panama or something.
Yeah.
A lot of staff from that were detained for a bit, I think. I don't want to spread misinformation. I don't know much more on that. That's a bit of a word of mouth thing, but I'm pretty sure a bunch of people, a bunch of UK staff members, like festival crew and stuff, were all just like kept in some sort of restricted area. But
yeah, I saw something on Vice about that. There actually, there's a girl that I know, and I had no idea she was involved in this festival, and I just saw this Vice thing, and she was on there, and she's one of the organizers. And they were. This was a few weeks ago, but they were still stuck in Panama, and they had, I think, been quarantined on the festival site. And everyone, it started off as this like, oh yeah, like free love, we're just in the wilderness, and then I think it turned into Lord of the Flies kind of stuff pretty soon. But I think, I don't know, I think things are starting to change. Like I'm literally just right now on a North Sea island. The lockdown is tourism is lifted. I live in the Netherlands, and so me and some friends have ridden our motorbikes up to this island. Everyone's got to like socially distance and things like that, but yeah, it's starting to open up. I'm not sure what's it like. Whereabouts are you? You based in Oxford?
I'm in Bristol.
Bristol.
From Oxfordshire, but yeah, I've not lived there for a long time. But yeah, I'm in Bristol. I've been in Bristol for the last couple of years. Yeah, central Bristol. That sounds good though. That sounds like you're doing the right thing. All right, let's get on motor, just drive, get somewhere where there's people.
Yeah, man. So what have you been? Have you been making much music lately? Like since lockdown and stuff like that? What have you?
Yeah, well, as I said from the beginning, I've been sort of veering between two extremes. Really, I'm either really productive or really unproductive. So when it first sort of kicked off, I was in France. I thought, right, I can't record. I can record demos on my laptop, but I kind of jumped into it like, right, I'm going to be super productive and banged out. I think every day I was writing something and going, yeah, this is cool. I'm making the most of this time. And it just veered off. Well, I mean, as events unfolded and the sheer drama, the sheer trauma of it, I didn't feel very creative for a good while. I'm kind of getting back into it now.
Cool. Do you like live with any other like musicians or producers? Like I know obviously you work with like Pete Cannon a lot. Do you guys live together, or do you just work like remotely, virtually?
It's all pretty remote now. I mean, there's some great people in Bristol that I do work with here and there, but most of what I do is still with Pete Cannon. Because we tend to work the way we'll do things is he'll send me instrumentals or track ideas and things, and that could be something that he made last week. It could be something from 15 years ago that he made. You never know with Pete. You just get the folder of his, or I'll go to his and we'll just root through things and find things. He's just he is constantly making music, constantly churning things out. So there's so much that he's forgotten about, but yeah, generally it's remote. Obviously, at the moment it is because he's in London. In fact. But that works quite nicely. I've just started to reconnect with Tom Caruana as well, who's a great producer who lives up in Yorkshire now. So I made an album with him years ago, about 2010, called A Slice of Fried Gold. But we've been friends and done things, and we had a group together as well, the Menagerie, that put out an album years and years ago, 2003 we're talking. But so yeah, I mean, it works well for me. I do prefer being in a room with someone, and when you work with someone and they're your friend, you're going back and forth, and you can stop in real time and go, oh, I don't know about that, should we change that? And because I find a lot of the time I'm very lucky to work with my good friends, that I do most of the stuff with. Pete, Pitch 92, he used to be with Mouse Outfit, now he's doing his own High Focus and everything. That's my friends, so there's no sort of breakdown in communication ever or anything like that. We just talk freely, which is very handy, and so back and forth it's easy. But at the same time, if you're doing something and then you want to tweak something and then you're going back and forth on just online, little bits of information can get missed. You know, it's easy for that to be quite a slow process. But so I think, you know, I would always prefer to just be in a room or get around and do it physically. But I mean, you know, at the same time, it can be done. You know, it's an absolute blessing that I can just carry on with what I'm doing. All I need is the desk that I'm sat at and the computer and a setup and whatnot, and then I can keep going. So, and it's funny, you know, as a wider social thing, it's amazing how many things could just carry on once this pandemic hit. I wonder if we'll see a lot of industries done like this remotely from now on.
I think it really is quite eye-opening. It shows that a lot of people don't actually need to go into offices, and you know, maybe I'm not sure what their like productivity will actually result in. You know, maybe afterwards you'll find out that people are more productive, and you know, working in a home environment is better for a lot of people.
Yeah, I suppose it's some people will flourish in certain situations, and vice versa. I
imagine some people might struggle a bit, you know, when there's a fridge full of beer and you know they're supposed to make some spreadsheets up or shit like that, and then you know I can imagine it's could be difficult, the temptations.
Need solid guidelines. I need walls to keep me there. Yeah, definitely.
So you actually did an album in 2003. When did you start making music? Foreign Beggars, right?
Well, it's just before that. I mean, but really, like when I was a teenager, I mean, when I was a kid, I'd be making little demos and things, and that was like late '90s, I suppose. But I mean, nothing serious. But then I moved to Brighton, I think 2001, and I hooked up with a few people, including Tom Caruana. We were just doing bits and bobs, going to the open mics there, trying to do that all the time. And then we formed a crew there. I don't know if you know Professor Elemental, who's a rapper, right? Me and Nick Maxwell was the DJ, and Tom Caruana, and later on Coasty as well. So a bunch of Brighton crews, and down then there was a real energy in Brighton. There was a lot of open mics going on. Obviously, it was before you had everything just filmed, you know, from every angle, everything put online or whatever. So it was very much hearsay. You know, it's kind of, you know, there'd be MC battles going on and things and all this sort of thing. So there was a real excitement at that time, sort of 2002, 2003 in Brighton. There was a lot of people, you know, it'd make you energized to do things, you know, because you'd go down to the open mic, you'd drop your new verse and someone kicks the freestyle, you're like, oh, I can do something. But it was quite welcoming as well. Before that, I'd lived in Manchester, and I ended up going back to Manchester for years and years after that, of course. But I went to uni up in Manchester, sort of in the late '90s, and it was cool, and it was a real good introduction to an amazing city. But you know, in terms of, it was very different to Brighton. You know, everyone was very welcoming as soon as I got down to Brighton, and so, yeah, it was just get on with things, get into things, and Menagerie was a crew that came out of that basically. So the album, I think it was about 2003. I might have got that slightly wrong, but I think that's about right.
What did you actually study at uni in Manchester? Music or
language and literature, which was one of those degrees that like kind of you know, incorporated all sorts of different bits and bobs. But the main thing I did was like English, like poetry. God, it's so long ago. It's like a lifetime ago. Satirical poetry in the 18th and 19th century. That was what my
seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you can see it kind of carries across. Yeah,
well, my name, Dr. Syntax, is from a bunch of poems in the 19th century. I hope I get this right. A guy called William Coombe, and it was kind of a satire on all poets that were jumping on the romantic poetry bandwagon. Is the simplest way I can put it, really. I think because you had like the neoclassical period of poetry in the 18th century, where every poet was trying to reinvent themselves as a, you know, in the Roman or Greek style. And then when the romantic era came, you know, you had a lot of people, you know, your Wordsworth and Coleridge and all that, and they took it a different way. They said, no, it should just be free form poetry. It's not so rigid and restricted. But some people still wanted that old way, and this guy William Coombe also saw that there was a lot of people would suddenly be a poet, which is interesting. It's someone would go, oh, that's the cool thing, I'll be a poet. And you know, you had the sort of the wealthy classes would go and do a grand tour and go, traveling at that time was, very much a sort of elite pastime.
Only for the top, yeah.
So lots of people would go and travel Europe or whatever, and then write their little their travel book. That's what travel books came from, your Biarritz guides and whatnot.
So that was from rich people going off on adventures and
and writing. Oh yes, in France, the poor people and whatever. But anyway. So I've meandered off topic a little bit there. But yeah, so another thing that people would do on these grand tours would be write some romantic poetry, and they go, oh, so that's the thing to do now. So I'll go to the Lake Districts and write about the countryside there. Then I'll go down to Somerset and do this and this and this. And this guy William Coon, I think he saw that as being ingenuine, disingenuous.
Disingenuous,
yeah. Stop words. But so he created this character to sort of lampoon them all. This Dr. Syntax character, which was this sort of stuffy clergyman, I think, who went around and would get himself in scrapes in of this tour. And there's a load of there's lots of artwork that was made at the time for it. It's funny because I found this name when how old was I? I think I was 17. I got this name, and I was just obviously a student, and I just saw that and thought, oh, that sounds cool. Use that, and then eventually you find out you piece bits together. So it sounds like it was all a big plan.
Nice.
But yeah, so what you obviously did have Google and things like that, but it wasn't just in every aspect of society. So now, as I got older, I found out that other things were named after Dr. Syntax, and there was a successful racehorse up north that was the name. Was buried somewhere. So you get, because of that, you get pubs up north called the Dr. Syntax. And
seriously?
There's one in Wigan. Every now and then someone sends me a picture and goes, how come there's a pub named after you in Northumbria? It's a good, hit the Google up. But yeah, so I kind of stole the name off something because I thought it sounded cool.
I honestly would not have had a clue about that. I've not really. I kind of assumed actually that it was something to do with computer programming, syntax, lined. I think I'm not really sure, but is syntax something to do with code? I think. Yeah,
absolutely. Syntax error. That's the famous
syntax error. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
I assumed it was something to do with that, and just a pun on that. So it's actually a lot cooler, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, yeah, depending. I remember I've told that story to some people. I told it to some fucking stupid.
Wow. I don't know. I can imagine if you're at a sweaty club or a festival on stage, and you say, "Hey guys, I just want to explain. Let's let's take you back a bit to the 1800s." People are going to be like, "What the fuck?
Stop the music. Let me break it down." Yeah. I mean, it's just words now. When you're attached to something for so long, forgot what its origin was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the short story of all that was that I looked at it in a book and thought, that sounds cool, let's go. But yeah, and here I am years later.
Nice. Still with a name. I've actually been getting people commenting on the live stream, asking some questions. So I will, before they build up too much, I'll ask you a couple of these. Someone's asked, who would be your ideal person to collaborate with? Any person.
Oh, ideal person to collaborate with. Damn. Dead or alive, or realistically, or ridiculous?
I guess that means well, there's a lag in the stream, so we can't really ask somebody and they're not going to type it now. So I'm going to take the executive decision here and say anyone, dead or alive.
It's a difficult question. Maybe I'm overthinking it, because the best way, from a sort of perspective of just creating the music, it's perfect that I can work with people that I know so well.
Mm-hmm.
Pitch 92, like Pete Cannon, it's a nice and easy flow. I don't have much in the way of ambition of like, oh, I really want to reach out and work with that person and that person.
Yeah.
I'm introverted in that respect. But I mean, I did a tune years ago with Del the Funky Homo Sapien with Pete as well. It was on our album Killer Combo. That was definitely one of those. That was
Nice.
amazing. I've sidestepped the question here. I've given a I don't know is the short answer.
Well,
I suppose
we can like freeze the, you know, oh, we got connection problem, sorry.
like a really cool band like the El Michel's Affair or something like that. That would be incredible. You know, I like the fact that there's a lot more of that going on these days. You see like the NPR Tiny Desk.
I am hooked on that. There is a woman called Mumu Fresh.
Yeah.
She is amazing. Like she sings, her rapping is like Lauryn Hill-esque, and her voice is just, yeah. I've been listening to it on repeat actually quite a lot.
Remember seeing her on, I think it was the Roots one.
Yes, yeah, she guests on that one.
Who's this?
Jeez. Yeah, what an incredible woman. I absolutely loved like that you did stuff with a mouse outfit. You know, I think there should be more live music in hip hop. I just think, as you know, I love hip hop. I've always been into it. I also equally love, you know, my rock, my reggae, my jazz, my, you know, just live music. So, and I think quite often there's almost like, you know, some rappers that I speak to are a bit standoffish against it, the idea of it, and I think it works amazing.
I mean, sort of historically, it was kind of sneered at a bit by some people, like years and years ago. It's just like, well, we don't need a band. We've got 2 turntables and a microphone. You know, that's the real hip hop element.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that only came out of a situation where, you know, music programs in the Bronx were underfunded, so they used what they could. You know.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't ever be. You know, it shouldn't be viewed as something that you shouldn't play with. I think like nowadays, I think there is definitely a just something about playing with a band that is very different to just going up with a backing track or a DJ or whatever. It's a different discipline almost, you know. In ways it's a lot easier because by the time you get on stage, if you've got a great band there, they've already done the work, everyone's enthralled and it's on, it's part of a bigger piece. But then it's kind of just to stand out and define yourself with all that going on is a different set of skills, I think. But I think, I mean, beyond the fact that obviously there's a lot less music, a lot less money in sort of independent music and getting that sort of thing started, and putting a band together and getting however musicians to turn up and rehearse and being on that, I suppose that you see less of it in that respect. But I think it's there. The people that want to do it are there. I think it's great in the last few years, the sort of UK jazz scene that's been going on, you know, with all these great people, Henry Wu and all those sort of people, you know, amazing. Ezra Collective, you know, they're really dope. So I mean, there's great bands. I suppose that's kind of gone off topic a little bit. You know,
right. It's fine.
Manchester, just all the young, the amount of young musicians I met there, because as you say, you know, it would be the Mouse outfit, but then sometimes so and so can't do this gig, so they've got a dep coming through. And then there's this guy who's an amazing keyboard player, and he's got this band, and you see, and then suddenly you realize there's a real network of young musicians there, which, I mean, I don't know if that is the same elsewhere. I'm sure it is, and I just don't know about it. But it's collaboration, really. It's when people are really prepared to have a community of musicians working together. And when you really get that flowing, you have to have the people that are dedicated to being the guy that organizes it, you know.
Yes, definitely.
I'm just the place for the fun.
I wonder what is that makes that happen in certain places, because you know, I've definitely experienced that in certain cities where they've got a thriving music scene and everyone comes together, and then in other places there's just as many musicians and just as many people, but it just doesn't work. You know, like you just end up performing empty stages, and
I suppose that's a lot of it as well. You know, you need that instant gratification of having a crowd. Manchester, you've got the Royal Northern College of Music there, so you've got this massive amount of young and very talented musicians on a sort of cycle, and of course they'll all know each other, and keep it rolling. And so you have little open mic nights and things going on there. Yeah, and that kind of lots of good friends of mine up there came through that sort of circuit, and there's different bands going on now that they're involved with. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose it has to be that type of environment, you know, that's going on, and just people wanting to turn up, and you know, so obviously in Manchester you got a huge student population for a start, or just definitely. You know, everyone really cares about music there. You know? But now I'm in Bristol, and it's the same. You know, you walk down the road from where I am. Well, obviously, a few months ago, you would have walked down the road, and you walk past 3 different bars with like an open mic thing going on, and there's like some cool band doing bits. So yeah, there's. I don't know what my point is that I'm labouring towards, but I guess it's if it's valued, if it's wanted, if there's provision for it, yeah, sure.
I think like places like Bristol and Manchester attract because they've already got like artistic communities. They then attract more artistic people. Yeah,
for sure. And then places get a buzz to them, and then everyone just turns up there because it's the place to be. And then it gets diluted, and then the whole process starts again somewhere else.
I've just got another question, which is, what's your favorite bit of work you have made?
Ooh. I'm not sure. I mean, you know what? It's always a really boring answer that I give to this, because it's always like the last release that an artist has made that they're still trying to promote. And then if you think back to, like, some people will be like, oh, I really like the first album best or whatever. And to me, that's like the growing pains bit. I can see what I was trying to do. You know what I mean? So it is always like the last thing I'll do is probably the most polished thing. It's hard to say, really. I can't really quantify things like that and say that's better.
No favorite track that you were like, oh, you know what, that is, you know, my legacy track.
I guess it changes, but like I was saying before with the Killer Combo, I suppose I am most proud of that because it just felt like the stars aligned a little bit, like that. The album Killer Combo with Pete Cannon, that was our first. He'd done most of my album before that, Benny Huge, but that was still kind of listening to the solo album, and we didn't quite have our directions. We didn't know each other as well.
Yeah.
And then Killer Combo, you know, had some great guests on it. It had the Del the Funky Homo Sapien jazz track on there.
Nice, yeah.
Dirty Dyke and Lunacy on a track for the first time together on Brotty. So, and then it just sort of came at a time when, I don't know, people were warming to UK rap again. You know, it's coming back around, and the High Focus wave was really kicking off, and people had an appetite for it. So that, I think, I just like the way that album came out. It's connected with memories for me as well. Like I've never been very good at documenting things and taking photos and having that in my life, you know, but there's always music, so I can always go, put that on, and that reminds me of this time and that, and just friends of mine popped up in little skits and things. And so I think it's that one.
Cool. Well, what one was Cats and Dogs on?
Cats and Dogs, that was on an EP. That was on
one of the best. Honestly, I just think it's genius. In fact, I remember when I said to my girlfriend about having you on, she was very excited. And I think she wanted me to ask what you prefer, cats or dogs, actually. But
well, I always say this when we play it live. I say, who likes cats? Who likes dogs? It kind of seems like I've set you up to be against each other, but no, you can like both of them. Who likes cats and dogs? Yay.
Okay.
My little showbiz compromise. But I don't know. I'm leaning towards dogs more these days.
Nice.
I always grew up with a cat, and I was always like, no, I'm a cat guy. And you know, you got to have a certain respect for cats. You know, they're just complete disregard for humans that aren't feeding them.
Yeah, they are there. They're using you, you know, like in a sense of, but they know it. They're like, I like that about them, how they're just like fuck you attitude. But personally, I like dogs more because I like the loyalty of a dog. I want a dog to be dependent on me and me to be the center of its universe.
Well, that's it. I'm like, people will say dogs are stupid. I'm stupid. That's it. I can relate with you. It's fine. Let's take it based. You don't get therapy cats, do you? You get therapy dogs.
Very true. Yeah.
I suppose
you got some more. There's some weird questions actually. Do you own a chicken coop?
No. Chicken coop. I don't know where that's come from. But,
not everyone who will be viewing is necessarily like. I mean, this isn't a hip hop podcast. We've had who was it? We've had a guy last week who was a film producer and is an author of 7 best-selling books. We've had a guy who was in jail for 7 years for LSD in America. So there's a range of people watching. So not every question.
I like the idea that he's just walked past and seen a guy that looks like me with a chicken coop. Is it you with the chicken coops? Yeah. Oh, right, it's this guy. No, sadly not. My animal rearing skills are pretty defunct as it goes. I've got a little space. Maybe it's time. Ask me again in a year. It might have changed a little bit.
Cool. Okay.
Supply has dwindled. It's no chicken coopery in my immediate past.
Okay. Oh, someone's written. It's a quote. I think this is maybe quoting you. If you want a live show that will get the place packed, then please sit back and listen. Still bangs.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that's. If that's a quote. I don't know.
And then the chicken coop guy Dean put was a old bar, so maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, I haven't got a fucking clue what I've written. I'm sorry about that. My lack of knowledge about my own work. It's interesting, isn't it? You asked me, what's your favorite? I haven't got a clue. It's all, but that's it. You are always focused on what you're doing at the moment. The old stuff is old straight away as soon as it's out there and done with. I suppose that's it. It's kind of you're trying to. You're focused on the new bits. If someone said, "Oh, what's your favorite verse to do?" Well, it's the one I just wrote, not the one I wrote 8 years ago that I could do in my sleep. But at the same time, those are the songs that people know and hear and means to do them. And all the meaning is drained of them for you. But yeah, all right, I'll get a chicken coop and figure out what I did that.
Do you are you close to your family? Like, do they? What's their opinion on your music and that you're a professional rapper?
Yeah, I mean we're close. They're all very supportive. They're all there. They're locked in. I did a live stream for Bolter Festival the other day, and it was funny seeing them pop up in the comments. But it was very supportive. Not necessarily a big hip hop. My mum's pretty political, and she's always trying to get me to get more on that side of things. Or like she didn't get it for years and years, and then went to like particular. She was very involved in the free Tibet organization, and she went to a rally and saw someone rapping there. And it was I get it now. You should do something like that. What are you rapping about? Oh, cats and dogs. No. My family are cool. They're very supportive.
Do they want you to like have a career? I don't know. They want you to be a doctor of health rather than a doctor of music.
Doctor, yeah. Sure. I mean, there's always that parental and familial pressure, isn't it? What are you going to do yourself? I think it was more like my dad was my mum and my dad were both all very much involved in languages. So my mum was a German teacher for many, many years, and my dad was he was a teacher for a long time. He was a tour guide for a long time, a bilingual tour guide. So I think they were a bit befuddled by music and whatnot at first, but as it's sort of carried on. The years have gone by, and there's been this and that. And look, I'm playing at this festival and whatever. And here's my record. It's like, okay, validated.
Oh, nice. That's good. Did they teach you the languages? Did you grow up bilingual or anything?
No, I probably should have done. That was the shittest rebellion ever. So I know a bit of German. I can get by. But if someone really goes, you know what you're talking about, I'll be like, oh, fuck, wow, tapping out. But yeah, I wish that I hadn't rejected that really. But there you go. But you live in the Netherlands, you said?
Yeah. I moved out there a couple of years ago. I think just over 2 years ago. I'm from the UK. I'm from Gloucestershire originally.
Right.
But I've lived all over. I lived in Spain and Belgium and Canada over the past like 10 years. And now for the past few years, I live in the Netherlands. Learning Dutch slowly, but it's so difficult because everybody speaks perfect English.
Yeah. Do you find that if you try and you start speaking Dutch, they just override all you?
Yeah, because I speak like, I guess, a 3-year-old child. So, you know, my conversations aren't that deep in Dutch. So I'm trying to talk to them, and they're just like, we can't just talk about, I don't even know what I can talk about. Food, maybe. I can follow it though. Like I can read almost, not, I wouldn't say fluently, but I could. I read an article in Dutch without much problem. But it's making that step to speaking it. I think it's like a fear, I guess. To actually, that I'm not just going to sound like I'm completely stupid.
You should you have to do it Napoleon Dynamite style and just keep it hidden for years and years, and then suddenly you just go bang, and then you can speak fluently and perfectly without anyone knowing that you put up to that.
That would be brilliant, especially if you could like plan it, and in a situation where you're with a bunch of people who don't think you speak it, and you listen in what they're saying, and you just turn around and go, oh, okay, so
And suddenly, pow, and they just go, well done, nice one. You just speak English.
Yeah.
Are you out there for the duration? Do you think you're all out there, or you like to move around quite a lot?
I like to move around. I would like to ideally live half in Canada and half in the Netherlands, to be honest. That would be my dream. I love it. I love it there in Canada for the nature, and just on the west coast, the lifestyle is just so chilled. And then in the Netherlands, I don't know, it's just so organized, and everyone's really just genuine and trusting. I leave. I don't know. I wouldn't leave my keys on my bike maybe, but I would. I don't have to watch my back everywhere. And where I'm from, it's not like the worst place, but there's definitely, I've definitely had lots of possessions stolen, and people make fights and stuff like that. So I just, I don't think I'll ever move back.
In England, that was you were talking about?
Yeah, never to the UK now. And probably never to, and I definitely don't think ever to Gloucestershire. Sorry to anyone in Gloucestershire who's listening now.
It's a funny one, isn't it? I've heard the same thing from anyone I know who's ever moved to Netherlands. They're always like, "Yeah, best thing I ever did. I'm out here. It's it's a good place to be."
Have you played there, like concerts?
Yeah, I toured a few years ago. That was with the Mouse Outfit, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and we played in Amsterdam, and where else did we play? Groningen. I loved Groningen. I thought that was a cool place.
Nice.
And Maastricht. Yeah,
cool.
There's just 3 days.
Nice.
As part of a big European thing. But yeah, I really liked it. I mean, Amsterdam is obviously the crazy, overload the senses with all sorts.
Yeah, it's the tourists is crazy. So it's just all the English and Irish and Americans who are finally able to get stoned and sleep with prostitutes are just getting off their faces. So it's a bit overwhelming.
So is it kind of in a situation where they depend on that sort of tourism, but they don't want it? Is that right? They're trying to stop foreigners from coming over and just walking in and picking up what they want.
Yeah, definitely. It's a difficult one because, I've got some friends who run a popular bar right in the center of Amsterdam, but it's I don't know, 90% tourists, so they need the tourism. But then again, if they live in there and they're having to deal with just all these rowdy people, because if you're there for 2 days, they just don't have the respect, because someone goes there, they come off the plane, they get absolutely trashed, and they don't care what they do. So I think there's a lot of animosity as well.
I went. I had a strange day in Amsterdam once. My brother lives in Frankfurt, and the only way I could get to him, flying to him, I'd have to come back and have a big layover in Amsterdam, and it ended up in this strange sort of like a date, like a first date that was going nowhere with this woman, because I had like 10 hours to spend in Amsterdam, and went up to someone at the airport and said, "What can I do here? How can I get into town?" And stuff. The guy was like, "Oh, Schiphol Airport. Well, you've got this and this and this, and you've got that, and we've got a little cinema there, and blah blah ball. You don't need to go anywhere. You can stay here." Like, okay, cool. You're proud of your airport, but how do I get out of here?
What?
And then all the trains seemed to be off, and there was just me and this woman on the platform. And after a while, I asked, "Do you know what's going on?" She went, "No, I think the trains have stopped. Do you want to get a cab?" Okay, well, it looks like my hand is forced. Yeah, let's go. Cool. So I went off into town, and then we just it was a very pleasant day, but it was quite interesting as well, because you could see the packs of British lads or whatever, and all this crawling around and getting smashed, and I was being very civilized and on my best behavior. It was very and that was that. And then I flew back to Manchester after a weird day out in Amsterdam.
Yeah, does that mean you haven't actually
Sorry, go on. I said I knew I was saving that anecdote for something.
So does that mean you actually haven't had a chance to go and get smashed in Amsterdam and go on a smoke tour, and one of the weed boats, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I've been to Amsterdam, of course, and of course, as I was saying, I went on the tour with
of course,
house outfit, which I remember we that was really cool, because we met some people from there who took us to the cool stuff, and our gig was pretty early as well. It was at Paradiso.
Oh, nice.
Like that. Yeah. I think that's right. You got the Melkweg, haven't you, which is the bigger one, and then Paradiso is the smaller one, which is like next door to it. I think that's
Paradiso is quite a famous club. Like, it's legendary for being around for ages.
Right.
Having some pretty good artists there. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it was a really cool building. It almost seemed like Harry Potter's school or something. It seemed like Hogwarts. It didn't seem like we were going in a club. And it was quite early as well, because it was sort of, I think it was in the summer, and it was like light outside. It just fun going into this very sort of grand looking building to do a show.
Weird.
But it was wicked. Yeah, it was really cool. And then after that, yeah, we ended up going to some guys took us to a squat somewhere where there was like a Polish punk hardcore gig going on, and it was
nice.
Damn, we would never have found this in a million years. This is kind of cool. So yeah,
I think that's the best way. Like, when you go somewhere, just meeting up with a local that can, not go into the tourist places, but just find someone who actually lives there, who can take you to places and show you the real side of the city.
Yeah, definitely. I think just meandering yourself around on your own, looking at your lonely planet. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. Lonely planet. When you're just doing that, it doesn't quite cut it, does it?
No.
But if you've got the inside knowledge.
Yeah, man. I've just someone's just there's been more questions coming in. I want to keep asking a few and not let them build up. Someone said link to languages. That would be my superpower. I guess that means speaking different languages. What would your superpower be?
I don't know, but this has brought back a sad memory of a girl asking me this question sort of in a flirtatious way. And the first thing I said was, "I'd laminate things." And she just looked at me and looked really disappointed and disappeared. And like, when you ask that question, it brought the sadness and embarrassment back to me before I remembered what it was.
Oh no, that's the shittest superpower. Laminator.
So yeah, maybe it would be absolute fearlessness, removal from embarrassment. Maybe that's what it would be. Actually, that's not very good, is it? That's what that's what a complete sociopath have. My superpower would be zero empathy. That would help me get along in this one.
That would make you a super villain then.
Yes, I suppose so. Yeah. Well, I'm showing my true colors today, aren't I? Well, laminating things. Yeah, I'll just. You know what? I'm going to stick to my original answer. Stick to your guns. Just. So. Laminating things.
Would that be like? Would you, with each hand, would you go and laminate something, or is it with your mind?
In terms of how good at laminating I could pick and choose. Think of a way something could be laminated. That's how I do it. Or just waterproof casing. Especially with climate change escalating. It could be kind of like the basic level is just like, there's your page, there's a piece of paper. Oh, Jesus Christ! But then at the height of the powers, I could just create a little igloo for myself, just like ding, ding, ding.
You laminate one? How would that?
Well, it'd be like made out of plastic fired from my fingers. No. All right. Okay.
I guess. I mean, I'm not making the. Oh, sorry. There's a note for you, by the way. On the Zoom group chat, can you see it?
No, I'm on my phone. I've got it.
Okay. Billy is saying, the sound guy's saying, "Hey Ben, can you still hear if you turn down the output on your phone a little bit?"
Yeah, I reckon so. I reckon I could do that.
Okay.
Hold on, let me just fiddle out with that. There we go. I think we're in business still, are we not?
Yes, we are. That's better. It was jumping around a bit, so I think that's helped. I can't believe you've picked this shit as superpower ever. No offense, but
I can't believe I've had that question again and answered with the same shit answer. That was about 15 years ago as well, and the shame is still there. I tried to fight through it. I don't know.
It would be the same shit answer because you've chosen it, and you can't just change superpowers. So
that's me. I'm Lamont. Did you ever watch what was that program, The Misfits?
Yes.
Yeah, the guy in that when suddenly it blew up that everyone had these powers, and the one guy had the dairy, the manipulation of dairy. Do you remember that episode? So there's the one guy he's the first guy that everyone finds out about. It's like, oh my god, look, he can bend milk, and then eventually everyone else has much cooler powers, and then he just gets sidetracked. And like, you're the milk guy, fuck off. And then he turns into a villain and starts sort of contorting the pizza in people's bellies and things, and pulling into things. And then the one guy eventually decks him because he's lactose intolerant. Anyway, it's half an hour.
Brilliant.
I'm angry laminator.
Yeah, laminator man. Oh, somebody they said it's me, the girl he's talking about. What? What? Okay. A good old lactokinesis. Okay, so people are pretty live with this. My friend, he's actually listening at the moment. We worked out that he's got the shittest superpower in real life.
So he's got a superpower.
He has a superpower. He worked with anodizing metal, and somehow he got a chemical contamination, and it resulted in him being allergic to sunlight. So it's altered. I guess it's his DNA, and so now he actually has allergic reaction to like all 3 types of UV. And we were hanging out, and we're a little bit wasted on the weekend, and sat in the sun, and he started swelling up and kind of just expanding and going purple. And well, we were with people who didn't realize what was going on, and we actually told them that it was his superpower, and and they thought we were joking because it sounds like something from a from a Marvel thing. He didn't fall into a vat of molten metal, but it sounds like someone falls into this radioactive thing and they come out with this. But he actually did get a superpower.
Damn. Well, I hope there's a plus side to that. Like he can, I don't know, what would be the antithesis of that? Just see in the dark, I suppose.
I guess if he eats in lots of carrots, he'll see in the dark. But I think he just gets to wear like hoodies and stuff in the sun, and like look like a super villain. I think
Absol got something like that. Like he can't take those glasses off. Absol, the rapper.
Which one?
Absol. You heard of Absol?
Absol, no.
He's a good rapper. Yeah. Anyway, I think he has a similar condition.
Really?
Maybe.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your friend's condition. I hope,
my friend's also a rapper, so maybe they can do a song together and shoot a music video in the dark.
Sounds like a plan. I hope I've not been spectacularly insensitive here. It's yeah.
I want to see
laminators. Give me a shout.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it could be like it could be like a collab of like shit superheroes, and like you just have all of these really terrible superheroes, rapping about their terrible abilities.
Yeah, that's a move. That could work. That's a starting point.
Oh, someone's put Stevie Wonder. Yeah, I don't know if that's a superpower, but he could feature, I guess.
I mean, he's definitely got some powers.
Yeah,
he's pretty spectacular. He just goes on it can go on for so long as well. The Stevie Wonder show. I saw he played in Hyde Park a few years ago, and I went and saw that. And yeah, it was fucking incredible. It's just relentless. Like after, when those old shows when it's a real showman and it's 3 hours long or something, and after a while, you're amazed. You're standing there in absolute, wide-eyed awe for the first sort of half an hour. Like, what the fuck's going on? There's so many different musicians, and every single backing vocalist he brings up in their own right, they get their chance to shine, and they're just like phenomenal.
A real stage production, almost like you're going to like a theater show or something.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the greatest live musical show that I've ever seen, just because it just kept building and building, and it becomes a part. You're just totally immersed in it, in the sense that you've forgotten about anything else. You're just there, like you've been hit with so much information, so much amazing music. But yeah, Stevie Wonder, one of the last of the absolute greats. Sure.
Yeah. I've just been asked on the chat, what is your favorite genre of music other than what you do? Like,
that's a very tricky question. Because I love. What would I listen to mostly? I don't know. That's so difficult to answer. This is a wishy-washy answer. I'm giving a lot of wishy-washy answers today. I don't think I have a favorite, because different music, different. Sorry, I don't think I've had a long form conversation for about 8 weeks. It's very difficult.
I like it. They're going off on you're giving stories that you seem to maybe have not thought about for a while. So it's cool, like
sort of fragments of sentences.
Yeah.
What was the question again?
The question was
bluegrass. Next. All types of stuff. I like lots of folk music, rock and roll music. What was I listening to last that would be? How can I never think about these things when Ari Lennox, she's great. R&B music, of course, but
yeah,
that's what I was listening to the other day. Ari Lennox is amazing. If you wanted to focus the question into being one artist that you found out recently, but yeah, really amazing.
Nice.
It's a new R&B singer, which is really cool.
Ari Lennox, cool. There's another. I was gonna. I want to speak about something else, but we just got a question asking for my lad. Do you think music education is relevant, or is it just as easy to go out alone?
I mean, I guess it's more easy than ever now to go it alone because everything's there. Like you can find out about it, and if you want to research about something, you know, you don't have, like when I was a kid, of course, if you're into a particular type of music, you can't just get all that music instantly. You had to really, you know, it's part of your identity. You know, oh, it's the hip hop kids, oh, it's the grunge kids. They got their tapes, they're swapping them, they're learning like that. That's sort of peer-to-peer education I'm talking about. So I suppose in that sense, nowadays, yeah, it's all there. You can just go and find out, and it's a lot easier in that respect. And you know, finding out for yourself with music, of course, it's about art. It's about how you feel about something. It's not something you just read from a textbook how to feel and what this is and what that is. Having said that, you know, I think it's very important that we have music education in our society, that we have it in schools. That's the sort of thing that's the first thing to get cut when they're trying to do budget cuts. And you know, look at this situation now that we're in, when no one's when a lot of people, I should say, are finding themselves stuck at home with only their thoughts. You know, and people need music. People are picking up old instruments and trying to get into it like that. They're watching music documentaries. They're watching live streams of shows. You know, it's incredible. I mean, I don't have to make the case for the importance of music to society, but yeah. So a bit of both, definitely. And especially when you're talking about music in terms of people who are like amazing musicians who have learned and they've got the credentials to be the fucking words. All I've got to do is the words.
The words, yeah. And that is what you do, right? And I mean, you are a professional.
Whole shtick is the words. Where are they? But yeah, definitely we need music education.
Cool.
I need music education.
I think there's lots of more questions. They keep coming up. I'm going to ask. These will be the last couple of questions because then we got to wrap it up quite soon. I can see a group of Dutch bikers gathering outside of my window, and you know, they've just pulled up on their Harleys and their bikes.
So the sign is it's on.
That's the sign now. They'll be in to drop their bike gear off and go for dinner soon. So, you know, I'd rather not have them all kind of coming.
Driving off to the mountains with them or whatnot.
Yeah, well, I'll just go. They just went to the beach actually. So,
right, sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Unanswered questions here.
Let's have a look. So we got brass or woodwind. What instrument would you play?
Woodwind, I think.
Yeah.
What does woodwind encompass?
Like, woodwind is like clarinet, I think, and kind of with a reed, right? But
oh yeah, okay. I think probably woodwind.
Yeah.
Just because of the wear and tear of brass, you know, like my friend who was shout out to Jack Tinker, who's a trumpet player. You know, he'd be walking around just before sound check all the time when we were in a band together, and he'd just be sort of blowing raspberries, and I thought he was just being a dick, you know. And then I didn't realize it's the whole thing that he does. And then that has terrible, you know, that can really fuck your lip up. You get the dry lip from that after a while because you're just going,
no way.
You know, so yeah, give respect to brass players, definitely. I mean,
okay,
sure, but brass players, you know, they're working hard there. That is that's a strenuous task.
I actually think you would win more. To be honest, that's what I would imagine. I don't know. If you were to stop rapping, I think, and you were to go into another genre of music, I think, yeah, you should probably do that.
Strictly oboes.
Strictly oboes. I'm going to ask the last question, which is, do you have a favorite moment in your career?
Moment. Oh God.
It could be at any moment as well. You know, I think, you know, it could be.
possibly the first time with the Foreign Beggars playing at the hip hop Kemp Festival out in Czech Republic, and the first time they called me up to do something there, because the first time I'd really seen a huge crowd. Like, I think it was about 20,000. That's the biggest crowd I've ever been to. They've since went to much bigger things, but and it was, what did I hear it described as the other day? I was listening to some documentary, and someone described an audience like that as it either looks like a rug or some pizza, like, as it's just indistinguishable. It is weird. It looks like, seeing an audience like that, it does look like Mordor or something, just all the orcs. It's like, oh!
Was that not intimidating, to go out, and especially if you hear that and know that there's that many people, potentially waiting for you, and you can't fuck up.
The whole energy on stage of everyone being so pumped, and then you're buzzing, and you're flowing with that. When you're confident in what you're doing, then if you ask me to go on stage and do an hour of my show that I've rehearsed, I've got it down, I know it, absolutely fine, let's go. If you ask me to get on stage with that many people and have this interview like this, oh shit, that'd be much worse. But yeah, so I just that springs to mind in terms of like a big show that was a turning point and felt amazing. Definitely
cool. That yeah, I can imagine that would feel incredible. The rush afterwards. I mean, like, I've played music. I played small gigs. I'm not a professional musician, but even playing a small gig, when there's a bunch of people there that are there for you and they enjoy it, and you see them enjoy it, and then you come off afterwards, it's like, you're high, really.
I tell you what, small gigs, you ask me, like, say it's crazy, the adrenaline from those people, but I'd say it's harder to do a small gig because you can see the whites of their eyes. You can see them looking at you going, who's this guy?
Very true. Yeah.
And or the other way, you can be put off because someone's smiling. This is great. You go, hey, I'm doing great. What was that? Whereas, when it's just a sea of people, you can't see what's going on, whatnot. You don't know. You don't know what individuals are thinking, like that. You'd have no business knowing what they're thinking, or they're performing and getting everyone involved. But yeah. I'd settle for any gig right now, just 10 people. You're allowed 10 people in Britain now, so maybe that's what I should start doing, just popping around and
living room concerts. I think that's a good idea.
Maybe that's the future of live music in the UK. It's just like going around people's back gardens with a megaphone to do 20 minutes.
Do you think, are you going to tour once lockdown's lifted? Do you plan to? Have you got anything in line?
I absolutely hope so, but it's all entirely up in the air at the moment. The whole industry is just waiting with bated breath to see how things played out. There's lots of people in the meantime keeping things going with live streams, and I think that is kind of fascinating as well, how that could develop as a kind of medium. The live stream show. Obviously, we were talking about the NPR Tiny Desk things and all that.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it's not a strange thing, but now that people are forced into, this is the only show they can do, and everyone's doing these live shows, I wouldn't be surprised if there's innovations in how people convey things. Like, do you know the band Henge?
No, I don't. What genre are they?
A good answer for other music that I like as well.
Nice.
How do you describe? It's too hard to describe. They're kind of like a concept band. They're from Manchester as well. Really, really good musicians, but they're I probably shouldn't say that because officially they're from outer space. Concept band.
You're giving away the secret.
Yeah. They did a live stream just recently that I saw where they just did, it's Henge presents the interplanetary song contest. So it's kind of like a jokey Eurovision thing, and they'd obviously done this pretty quickly. It was only a couple of weeks after lockdown and everything, and the levels of, they'd obviously got a green screen and done lots of wacky stuff. I'll let you look at that up yourself.
Yeah, man, I'll check it out.
But certainly Henge is my big.
Cool.
I recommend that. It's just, it's a lot of fun, and go and see them if we ever get to another music festival.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Actually, someone's just asked. It's a shout. Did you listen to the Catch EP? Have you heard that?
No, I don't think so. Catch.
Okay, I'll send you a link to it afterwards. It's I agree. If you haven't heard it, I'd say probably. I think Catchy, the rapper Catchy P. I think he gave you, or someone is commenting saying he's asking if that Once Upon a Time at a show you guys swapped albums. You sold one of, or swapped one of yours for one of his.
Oh, I've been caught out here.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Maybe. Shit.
Whoops. Sorry, I dropped you in it. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, but I would recommend it as well. Personally, is absolutely. I try and listen to so much new hip hop that's coming out, and it was probably my favorite.
Oh, cool. Please send me a link to hear it. Yeah, wicked. I'd love to check it out.
I should probably be wrapping this up now. As you might have seen, there's been some Dutch bikers have walked into the room, and so I should start wrapping this up. But it's been so much fun, and if you do tour and come to the Netherlands, obviously should come and get a tour. I got a little boat out here. You could go on the canals and maybe do another podcast, but live this time.
Sounds awesome, mate. I'd love to.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully
if you want to give a shout out or anything, if there's any last thing, any points you want to make, or
shout out to everyone just maintaining at the moment. Shout out to my pals. Shout out to Pitch 92, Pete Cannon, Tom Caruana. We're going to be making some music soon, and that's about the size of it. That's the lot. Peace to everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I will drop you now from this video and just finish it up quickly without you. And then, so thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Cheers, man. Okay, thanks everyone. You just were in tune with Dr. Syntax. I appreciate all of your comments, and it was nice to have a big group of you watching this and asking questions. Sorry if I didn't get all of your questions, but hopefully we will get Dr. Syntax on again. Make sure you check out his music. And I can see there's going to be people that aren't necessarily into hip hop, but he still makes some really, really good tunes and some really funny, kind of quite satirical music as well. So yeah, please check it out and make sure you share Shifty Perspective. You like us on social media. And if you get a chance, download this podcast on iTunes, just because even if you listen to it already, we really appreciate having the download, because we need to get stats and build up in the rankings. So thank you, everyone. And see you next week. Thank you.